growth is still a small portion of private equity in Europe. If you just look at 2019, only 9 billion euros have been raised by growth funds, and here I'm talking about growth as a whole, not only growth in technology, compared to much more for other private equity and for buyouts. So growth is a very small portion, like 10% of the entire spectrum of private equity. And even if you look at the VC industry, it's much bigger than growth. And if you look at the late stage VC, it's bigger than private equity growth as well. So and again, so the scene is a small scene when we look at growth, but it's a developing scene. So it's increasing in terms of size relatively fast. And what I felt rather fascinating, if you look at some European statistics, the growth area is putting much more money at work faster than the other asset class. So, I mean, if you look at the amount invested and the amount raised, they're pretty much at par every year. So it's a fast increasing domain, which is deploying capital relatively efficiently compared to other asset class. So where is Europe leading the scene? And I would think that it's leading the scene in technology, honestly speaking. I think we have many companies in Europe, and we don't know how many, by the way. We have many companies which are in the 15 to 50 and then 50 to 100 million euros revenue range. I'm not talking about enterprise value here, which are a bit positive, which are struggling to find capital to grow. So I think here we have loads of companies doing quite well and which are looking for growth equity. Yeah, I think we had a few phases when we looked at the pandemic. So when it came in, we all said, well, sanitary crisis, not a big deal. Okay, some people are going to stay at home. We are going to have some issues at delivering all over the world. Fine. You know what, CEOs, and we passed the message. We had a kind of a meeting, all CEOs meeting every other month. And the first one was preserve cash. If you have any corpse in the closet, take them out and throw them out. Be careful at cleaning your company and take advantage in a way of this period for being disciplined. The second message was slightly different, and here I think it's going to strengthen the technology scene. It is, guys, you need to buy now your competitors. And it's very obvious. Then you can strengthen your position by buying your competitors, which are in a weaker position than other companies. It's easier to buy a competitor rather than to acquire a new customer in a place like Europe when you cannot travel so much. So that was the second phase. Now we are entering into a new phase, which is a phase where we are seeing the economic tsunami coming. So, okay, the pandemic is not over, unfortunately, but now we see the economy struggling, and we all expect in 2021 and 22 a serious impact on the financials. In 2020, I think everybody could pass a message like we are extremely resilient. And I think that whoever was not B2C was resilient. Whoever was B2B, enjoyed a relatively reasonable business. And if we look at our portfolio, we had been quite strong. Now for next year, we are passing a very different message, and I think it's going to answer your question about how does it affect our strategies. Now we are telling people, guys, be very careful at focusing a lot on Asia, because Asia is not going to be hit the same way. You can still travel within Asia. You cannot reach it, but you can clearly do business in it. And the impact is going to be much lower than the one you are going to have here in Europe or the one eventually in the US. So be careful at really getting out. First answer. The second one is that we have a lot of growth companies in spaces which are related a way or another with health, being medtech, being technologies which are adapted to health. And those ones are, of course, going to be much more resilient or even growing faster. And another domain which we saw, which was tremendously important, is cybersecurity. for whatever reason during this period, we had a hell of an increase in cybersecurity needs. I never saw so many identity theft, so many attacks against large corporates and trying to steal money, all sorts of corporate scams. And cybersecurity is more important than ever. So I think that you are placing our bets now here, and you are asking our companies to change a little bit their positioning to be safer next year, where we don't expect the best to happen. What are the most exciting domains in Europe, in growth and in technology? Here, I would look somewhere else. For example, we have a nascent technology in a domain which is Nano Optics. And this is a very, very beginning. It's the first time you're kind of manipulating photons per photon and so on. And this is going to generate an entire industry, which is going to be as big as the semi industry, next to the semiconductor industry, but very, very big. And right now it's very, very small. So I think that domain, including software related to that, hardware, factories, and so on, are going to be critically important. I think also that we see an investment theme around nanotechnologies again, but for whatever is related to biocompatible materials and new materials which allow you to use the past processings in factories, but with clean materials. So nano and microsphere, which are biocompatible, for example, looks nothing, but this is going to change a lot of industry. There are new regulations which are forbidding non-biocompatible materials. And this is going to generate a huge industry. You know that in your gloss, for example, your gloss is shining because you have, and bad news for you, microspheres of 5 nanometers of plastic. So actually, it's full of plastic. It's the reason why it looks good. Bad news. Sorry for that. So in a year from now, it's going to be forbidden in Europe, and you will see new technologies emerging because of that. And it's going to happen across the entire industry. So think about the plastic industry, and think about those guys having to change completely the way they are sourcing their building blocks. So those are exciting domains, and I think we are going to see many companies in those domains.